Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The vast emptiness of space stretched before them, broken only by the distant stars and the looming presence of the Vormik fleet. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Status report," she said, her voice calm despite the tension in the air. First Officer John Miller looked up from his console. "The Vormik ships are holding position, Captain. They've acknowledged our hails but haven't responded yet." The Defiant was on a diplomatic mission to establish first formal relations with the Vormik Confederacy, a coalition of alien species from oxygen-rich, low-gravity worlds. For years, humans had heard stories about the Vormik, their advanced technology, their complex political structure, and their cautious approach to new species. "Keep the channel open," Lisa ordered. "Let them know we're waiting and ready to talk." Communications Officer Kate Howard nodded, her fingers dancing across her console. "Yes, Captain, I'm maintaining the signal." The bridge was quiet, everyone focused on their tasks. Chief Engineer Paul Fisher monitored the ship's systems from his station, while Security Chief Alan Rogers stood near the door, his posture rigid, but alert. The USS Defiant was officially registered as unarmed under Galactic Concordat regulations. This was standard procedure for first diplomatic contact, a show of peaceful intentions. But Captain Martinez and her crew knew better than to venture into unknown territory, truly defenseless. Hidden within the ship's structure were various defensive systems cleverly disguised as scientific equipment. Earth had learned caution after previous hostile encounters with other species. "Captain, we're getting a response," Kate said suddenly. "They're opening a communication channel." Lisa straightened her uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and large, pupilless eyes. Admiral Zexitran of the Vormik fleet looked down at the human captain with what Lisa recognized as contempt even across species. "Greetings, Admiral," Lisa said with a diplomatic smile. "I'm Captain Lisa Martinez of the Earth vessel USS Defiant. We come in peace to establish relations between our peoples." The alien's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but it didn't reach those cold eyes. "We have scanned your vessel, Captain," Zextran said, his voice translated through the ship's computers. "Our readings confirm what our intelligence suggested. You've come in an unarmed ship." Lisa maintained her smile. "As is proper for a diplomatic mission under the Galactic Concordat." Zextran made a sound that the translator didn't catch, perhaps a laugh or a scoff. Then, without warning, the view on the screen expanded to show more Vormik vessels moving into position around the Defiant. "Captain," John said quietly, "they're surrounding us." Lisa nodded slightly, maintaining eye contact with the Vormik admiral. She had expected something like this might happen. It wasn't the first time humans had been underestimated. "We've detected your lack of armaments, humans," Admiral Zexitran continued, his tone becoming openly hostile. "Your species' arrogance in sending an unarmed vessel is typical of your ignorance. Surrender now and prepare to be boarded." The communication cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence for a brief moment. "Well," Lisa said, turning to her crew, "that wasn't the warm welcome we were hoping for." Paul Fisher shook his head. "They think we're sitting ducks." "They don't know much about Earth, do they?" John said with a grim smile. Lisa moved to the center of the bridge. "They see what they expect to see, an unarmed diplomatic vessel. They don't understand what it means to be a Deathworlder." She pressed a button on her command chair. "All hands, this is the captain. Initiate Protocol Deathworld. This is not a drill." Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency. In the engine room, engineers removed panels to reveal hidden weapon controls. In the cargo bays, what appeared to be standard shipping containers opened to reveal emergency armor and hand weapons. The Defiant might be officially unarmed, but its crew was prepared for exactly this scenario. "They're powering weapons," John reported, reading from his console. "Multiple targeting locks detected." "Shields up," Lisa ordered, "but don't reveal our defensive capabilities yet. Let them think their first strike will be decisive." On the view screen, they watched as the nearest Vormik vessel fired a warning shot that passed close to the Defiant's hull. Message from Admiral Zexatran, Kate, announced. He says we have 5 minutes to power down all systems and prepare for boarding, or they will disable our engines and take the ship by force. Lisa smiled. Send no response. Let them wonder. She turned to Security Chief Rogers. Alan, prepare. Boarding countermeasures. Non-lethal if possible, but the safety of this crew comes first. Yes, Captain, Alan replied. My teams are already in position. Lisa addressed her first officer next. John, coordinate with Paul. I want all hidden systems ready but inactive. We'll let them make the first significant move. Understood. Medical Officer Stephanie Green's voice came through the communication system. Captain, Medical Bay is preparing for potential casualties. Should I brief the junior staff about what we might expect from Vormik borders? Good idea, Doctor, Lisa replied. Make sure everyone understands the physical differences. Knowledge is an advantage. In the medical bay, Stephanie gathered her team. Listen up, people. The Vormik evolved on low-gravity worlds. Earth's gravity is about 1.6 times what they're used to. Their muscles and bones aren't as dense as ours, and their reflexes developed under different conditions. What seems normal to us is superhuman to them. That gives us an advantage if it comes to physical confrontation. Back on the bridge, Lisa watched the timer counting down. 2 minutes remained before the Vormik's deadline expired. Captain, Paul called from his station, I've analyzed their weapon signatures. Their technology is advanced, but their targeting systems are calibrated for ships with standard defenses. They have no idea what we're capable of. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Lisa said. But if it does... She let the thought hang in the air. The ship shuddered suddenly as a tractor beam locked onto them. They're not waiting for their deadline, John announced. Boarding craft approaching from multiple vectors. Lisa nodded. The moment had arrived. All hands, prepare for boarding action. Remember your training. Through the ship's sensors, they watched as Vormik cutting tools began slicing through the outer hull. The aliens were about to learn a harsh lesson about humans and the world they came from. They thought the ship was unarmed, Lisa said quietly. Time to show them what Deathworlders can do. The first breach came with a hiss of escaping air and the bright sparks of cutting tools. Captain Lisa Martinez watched on the security feed as a section of hull in Cargo Bay 3 gave way. The Vormik boarding party pushed through the opening, their environmental suits glinting under the emergency lights. First breach in Cargo Bay 3, Security Chief Alan Rogers reported from his position. 5 Vormik troops, armed with pulse rifles and what appear to be stun devices. Lisa nodded. Status of the crew in that section? In position and ready, Alan replied. Waiting for your order. Let them get fully inside before engaging, Lisa commanded. I want them committed. The Vormik soldiers moved with caution. Their tall, thin frames hunched slightly under what humans would consider normal gravity. Their movements were stiff, as if each step required extra effort. Chief Engineer Paul Fisher spoke up from his station. Captain, their suits are compensating for our gravity, but they're still struggling. Their homeworlds average around 0.6 Earth gravity. That's our advantage, Lisa said. Send the signal to all defense teams. Remember, disable if possible, lethal force only if necessary. Throughout the ship, the human crew prepared. Unlike the Vormik, they moved with ease. Their bodies naturally adapted to Earth's higher gravity. Their muscles, bones, and reflexes had developed under conditions the Vormik would consider extreme. In the medical bay, Stephanie Green explained to her junior staff as they prepared emergency kits. The Vormik evolved on low-gravity worlds, with fewer natural predators and less environmental stress. They never developed the physical resilience or quick reflexes that humans have. What seems normal to us is superhuman to them. One young medic looked worried. But they have better weapons, don't they? Stephanie nodded. Better technology, yes, but technology isn't everything. Remember your training. Back in Cargo Bay 3, the Vormik boarding party advanced deeper into the ship. Their leader gestured for them to spread out. unaware of the humans hiding behind cargo containers and in maintenance ducts. Security Officer Megan Wells crouched behind a storage unit, her breathing calm and measured. She clutched a shock baton, non-lethal, but effective. When the nearest Vormik soldier passed her position, she moved with explosive speed. To the Vormik, it seemed impossible. One moment he was advancing cautiously. The next, a human female had crossed the distance between them faster than his reflexes could track. Her baton connected with his suit, discharging an electrical pulse that overwhelmed his systems. The other, Vormik soldiers turned in alarm, raising their weapons. But the humans in the cargo bay were already in motion. They moved with a speed and strength that seemed to defy the Vormik's understanding of physics. Two security officers lifted a cargo container that would have required mechanical assistance on a Vormik world and used it as a shield. Advancing toward the startled aliens, another human leapt from an overhead position, covering a distance that no Vormik could have jumped. Within minutes, the first boarding party was neutralized. None were killed, but all were incapacitated and secured. Similar scenes played out across the ship as additional breaches were reported and countered. On the bridge, Lisa received the reports with grim satisfaction. "Send visual feed of the captured boarding parties to the Vormik command ship," she ordered Communications Officer Kate Howard. "No message. Let the images speak for themselves." Kate worked her console. "Sending now, Captain." Lisa turned to First Officer John Miller. "Status of their fleet?" "Still surrounding us," John replied, "but they seem confused by our resistance. Their communications show they expected this to be easy. They're about to get more confused," Lisa said. "Paul, initiate Phase 2. Chief Engineer Fisher grinned. "With pleasure, Captain." He entered a series of commands into his console. Throughout the ship, what had appeared to be standard scientific equipment began to transform. Sensor arrays rotated to reveal hidden weapons ports. Communication dishes adjusted to expose defensive systems. Admiral Zexatran's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression a mixture of confusion and anger. "What trickery is this? Your ship is registered as unarmed." Lisa stood tall, facing the screen. "Admiral, there's been a misunderstanding. The USS Defiant is classified as unarmed under Galactic Concordant definitions. That classification doesn't account for species like ours." "Your boarding parties have discovered something important," she continued. "Humans evolved on what you would call a death world, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather patterns, and dangerous predators. We don't need weapons to be dangerous." The Peli Vormik Admiral's eyes narrowed. "You've violated diplomatic protocols by concealing your capabilities." Lisa shook her head. "We concealed nothing that wasn't in our biological and historical records. You simply failed to understand what humans are capable of." A new alarm sounded. John looked up from his console. "Captain, they're launching a second wave. Multiple boarding craft approaching, and their warships are powering weapons." Lisa's expression hardened. "They haven't learned their lesson yet." She pressed a button on her command chair. "All hands, prepare for combat operations. Weapon systems online." Throughout, the ship hidden panels opened to reveal control stations for the Defiant's defensive systems. They weren't the heavy armaments of a warship, but they were more than enough to surprise an enemy who thought they were facing an unarmed vessel. "Target their boarding craft," Lisa ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." Precise beams of energy lanced out from the Defiant, striking the approaching Vormik vessels. The smaller craft tumbled out of control, their propulsion systems disabled. Admiral Zextran's face showed shock. "Impossible. Our scans showed no weapon systems." "Your scans showed what we wanted them to show," Lisa replied. "A final warning, Admiral. Withdraw your forces, or we will be forced to demonstrate more of our capabilities." The Vormik Admiral's expression shifted to cold fury. "You think your tricks and your primitive physical advantages will save you? We outnumber you 15 ships to 1. This deception will only make your defeat more painful." The communication cut off abruptly. On the tactical display, the Vormik fleet began to move, their formation tightening around the Defiant. "They're not backing down," John observed. Lisa nodded. They still think they have the advantage. Don't they? Kate asked, voicing the question. On many minds. Numbers aren't everything, Lisa replied. Paul, are the main systems ready? The chief engineer nodded. Ready and waiting, Captain. They have no idea what we're about to show them. Lisa took her seat in the command chair. All hands battle stations. Let's show the Vormik Confederacy why they should have researched Earth more carefully before picking this fight. As the Vormik fleet moved in for what they believed would be a swift victory, the crew of the Defiant prepared to defend themselves. What had begun as a diplomatic mission was about to become a lesson in why humans, Deathworlders by any other species standards, were not to be underestimated. The Vormik ships closed in around the USS Defiant like sharks circling prey. 3 of their vessels fired warning shots that flashed past the human ship's hull, deliberately missing but sending a clear message. They're trying to intimidate us, First Officer John Miller observed from his station. Captain Lisa Martinez nodded. A show of force before they try another approach. She turned to face her command crew. This isn't going as they expected. They need to regroup. On the tactical display, the 15 Vormik ships maintained their position. The captured boarding parties were secured in the Defiant's brig, their weapons and equipment confiscated for study. Captain, I think we need to change our strategy, Tactical Officer Daniel Wright suggested. They think we're helpless. Let's use that assumption against them. Lisa raised an eyebrow. What do you have in mind? Daniel moved to the central display. Operation Trojan Horse. We appear to surrender while preparing a counterattack. They still don't know the full extent of our capabilities. Lisa considered the suggestion. The Defiant had revealed some of its defensive systems, but not all. The Vormik had seen that humans were physically stronger than expected, but they hadn't seen everything the ship could do. Communications Officer Howard, open a channel to Admiral Zextran's flagship, Lisa ordered. Kate worked her console. Channel open, Captain. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Vormik Admiral. His blue skin seemed paler than before. His large eyes narrowed with suspicion. Admiral, Lisa began, her voice calm and measured. It seems we have reached an impasse. Your numerical advantage is clear. I propose we discuss terms to avoid further conflict. The Admiral's expression shifted slightly. Perhaps surprise, perhaps satisfaction. You wish to surrender, Captain? Lisa kept her face neutral. I wish to find a peaceful resolution. Perhaps you would consider coming aboard to discuss terms? As a show of good faith, we will power down our defensive systems. Zextran appeared to consider the offer. Your deception earlier does not inspire trust, human. We concealed nothing that wasn't in our records, Lisa replied. But I understand your concern. To demonstrate our sincerity, we will lower our shields and allow your sensors full access to scan our ship. The Admiral nodded slowly. Very well. Prepare to receive my shuttle in 30 minutes. Any sign of trickery, and my fleet will destroy your vessel immediately. The screen went dark. Are you sure about this, Captain? John asked quietly. Lisa smiled. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. Chief Engineer Fisher, what's the status of our hidden weapon systems? Paul looked up from his console. The railguns disguised as sensor arrays are fully operational. The point defense lasers hidden within the communication dishes are charged and ready, and the missile launchers concealed within the cargo pods can be deployed in seconds. Good, Lisa said. Daniel, prepare Operation Trojan Horse. When Admiral Zextran's shuttle approaches, we'll give him exactly what he expects, right until we don't. Throughout the ship, crew members prepared. In engineering, Paul's team made adjustments to power distribution, making it appear as if systems were powering down while actually rerouting energy to weapons. In security, Alan Rogers briefed his teams on their roles in the operation. Remember, Alan told his officers, they still believe their technology is superior. Let them keep thinking that. In the medical bay, Stephanie Green prepared for potential casualties. If this works, we'll minimize injuries on both sides, she told her staff. If it doesn't, be ready for anything. On the bridge, Lisa gathered her senior officers for a final briefing. The Admiral will expect us to be desperate, she explained. He'll expect us to try something, but he won't know what. His arrogance is our advantage. John nodded. And if things go wrong? Then we fight, Lisa said simply. But on our terms, not theirs. As the minutes ticked by, tension grew. The Vormik shuttle departed from the flagship, escorted by 2 smaller craft. On the view screen, they watched its approach. Shield status, Lisa asked. Shields at minimum power, making them appear offline to Vormik sensors, Daniel reported. All weapon systems concealed but ready. Lisa straightened her uniform. Communications Officer Howard, send the docking authorization. Kate nodded. Authorization. Sent, Captain. The Vormik shuttle continued its approach, moving toward the Defiant's main docking bay. Behind it, the escort vessels maintained position, weapons charged and ready. Shuttle is on final approach, John reported. Their escorts are hanging back, but they have weapons locked on us, Lisa nodded. As expected, Security Chief Rogers, is your team in position? Yes, Captain. Alan's voice came through the comm system. Ready to welcome our guests. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud that vibrated through the ship. On the security feed, they watched as the airlock cycled open. Admiral Zex Tran emerged, flanked by 6 Vormik guards in full battle armor. They moved cautiously, struggling slightly under Earth normal gravity despite their augmented suits. Let them come to the conference room, Lisa ordered. Daniel, prepare to execute on my signal. The Admiral and his guards made their way through the corridors, escorted by Alan's security team. Their weapons were lowered but ready. They encountered no resistance, which seemed to make the Vormik even more suspicious. Finally, they reached the conference room. Admiral Zexitran stepped inside, his gaze immediately finding Captain Martinez, who stood at the head of the table. Captain, the Admiral said, his translator making his voice sound artificial. I am surprised by your sudden change of heart. Lisa gestured to the chair opposite her. Not a change of heart, Admiral. A recognition of reality. The Admiral took the seat, his guards positioning themselves around the room. Your ship has shown unexpected capabilities, but you are still outmatched. The terms of your surrender will... Lisa raised a hand to stop him. Before we discuss terms, Admiral, there's something you should know. She touched a control on the table. I never said anything about surrender. On the main view screen, the tactical display showed the Defiant's hidden weapon systems coming, fully online. The railguns emerged from their concealment, the point defense lasers rotated into position, and the missile launchers opened their previously hidden ports. Admiral Zexitran's eyes widened in shock. What is this treachery? Not treachery, Lisa said calmly. Strategy. While you've been here talking with me, your flagship has moved into optimal position for our main weapons. The Admiral reached for his communication device, but security. Chief Rogers was faster. With the superior reflexes of a human from Earth, he disarmed the Admiral before the alien could react. Your fleet is about to learn an important lesson about humans, Admiral, Lisa said, standing. We prefer peace, but we excel at war. She pressed her comm badge. Bridge, this is the captain. Execute Operation Trojan Horse. Outside, the USS Defiant suddenly came alive with activity. All hidden systems activated simultaneously, catching the Vormik completely by surprise. The human crew's physical advantages combined with their hidden technology created chaos among the Vormik fleet. Admiral Zexitran's face showed a mixture of rage and disbelief as Security Chief Alan Rogers held him firmly. The Admiral's guards reached for their weapons, but froze when they saw the human security team had already drawn theirs. This is madness, Zextran hissed. My fleet will destroy your ship the moment they realize what's happening. Captain Lisa Martinez shook her head. Look at the screen, Admiral. The tactical display showed the Defiant's weapons firing with precision at the Vormik ships. The railguns launched metal projectiles at incredible speeds, while the hidden missile launchers sent guided explosives toward key targets. They weren't aiming to destroy, only to disable engines, weapons, and communication systems. Bridge. To Captain. First Officer John Miller's voice came through the comm system. Operation is proceeding as planned. 3 enemy vessels disabled. The rest are regrouping. Excellent, Lisa replied. Keep me informed. She turned back to the Admiral. Your crew will not be harmed if they stand down. Before Zexitran could respond, the ship rocked violently. The lights flickered and emergency alerts sounded throughout the vessel. Bridge, report, Lisa demanded. 3 Vormik battlecruisers broke through our defensive fire. John answered, his voice tight with tension. They've hit our outer hull. Significant damage to decks 5 through 8. Artificial gravity fluctuating in those sections. Lisa's expression remained calm despite the dire news. Casualties? Minor injuries reported. Dr. Green is responding. Maintain. Defensive position, Lisa ordered. I'm on my way. She nodded to Alan. Secure the Admiral and his guards in the brig. Then get to your emergency station. Alan nodded. Yes, Captain. As Lisa hurried toward the bridge, the ship rocked again from another impact. She steadied herself against the wall, then continued. Forward. The Vormik had recovered from their initial surprise and were now bringing their superior numbers to bear. When Lisa reached the bridge, she found organized chaos. Officers moved between stations. Reports came in from all sections of the ship, and the tactical display showed the 15 Vormik vessels coordinating their attack. Status? Lisa asked as she took her seat. John moved to her side. Shields at 60%. Hull breaches on decks 6 and 7, but emergency force fields are holding. The Vormik have adapted their targeting to our revealed weapon systems. Lisa studied the tactical display. The initial success of Operation Trojan Horse had given them an advantage, but the Vormik fleet still outnumbered them heavily. Where's Admiral Zextran's flagship? She asked. Daniel pointed to a large vessel holding position behind the attack group. Here, Captain. They're coordinating the attack from a safe distance. Lisa nodded. That's our target. If we can disrupt their command and control, we might force them to back down. Another impact shook the ship, harder this time. Several consoles sparked and the lights dimmed before emergency power kicked in. Direct hit to our main power coupling, Paul reported from engineering. Switching to backup systems, but weapons capacity is reduced to 70%. Captain, Kate called from communications. Security reports another boarding attempt. Deck 4, Section 12. Lisa's mind raced through options. Security Chief Rogers, take a team and repel boarders. Use whatever force necessary. On my way, Alan's voice replied. Throughout the ship, the battle continued. In engineering, Chief, Engineer Paul Fisher worked frantically to restore power to the weapon systems. When a power conduit overloaded, he didn't hesitate to perform a dangerous manual override, his human body withstanding electrical feedback that would have severely injured a Vormik engineer. On Deck 4, Alan Rogers led his security team against the second Vormik boarding party. The aliens had learned from their first attempt and brought heavier weapons and enhanced gravity compensators. But they still couldn't match the humans in hand-to-hand combat. When one of Alan's officers was hit by enemy fire, he moved with astonishing speed, crossing the corridor and taking down 3 Vormik soldiers before they could adjust their aim. In the medical bay, Dr. Stephanie Green treated injured crew members as the ship shuddered around them. Stabilize this fracture, she ordered, a nurse pointing to a crewman's arm, and check the neurological readings on Lieutenant Park. The ship rocked again, knocking medical supplies from shelves. Stephanie barely kept her balance, then immediately returned to her patient. Her hands remained steady even as the deck plates vibrated beneath her feet. On the bridge, Lisa watched as the battle shifted. The Defiant had inflicted significant damage on the Vormik fleet, but they were taking heavy fire in return. Our point defense systems are struggling to keep up, Daniel reported. Too many targets. Just then, Science Officer Olivia Bennett rushed onto the bridge. Captain, I've been analyzing the Vormik ship designs from our initial scans. I think I've found something. Lisa turned to her. Go on. Their atmospheric processors have a unique design feature, Olivia explained quickly. They're vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies. If we modify our communication array, We could potentially disrupt their life support without destroying their ships. Lisa's eyes widened slightly. Can we do that? Olivia nodded. Chief Fisher and I have already worked out the modifications. It would take about 5 minutes to implement. Do it, Lisa ordered. Kate, inform all sections. Priority is to hold out for 5 more minutes. As Olivia rushed back to engineering to work with Paul, the battle continued. The Defiant's revealed weapons fought valiantly against the Vormik onslaught. Twice more, boarding parties attempted to take the ship, and twice more they were repelled by the stronger, faster human defenders. In engineering, Paul and Olivia worked together with frantic precision. Adjust the phase variance, Paul instructed. We need to hit exactly 47.3 megahertz. Olivia's fingers flew over the controls, almost there, synchronizing with the main deflector. On the bridge, Lisa watched the timer count down. 4 minutes. 3 minutes. The ship groaned under repeated impacts. Shields at 30%, John reported. Hull integrity failing on deck 8. 2 minutes. Another hit sent sparks flying from a nearby console. Captain, Kate called out. Admiral Zex Tran is hailing us. He's demanding our surrender. 1 minute, Lisa said. Keep him talking. Kate opened the channel, and the Admiral's face appeared, on screen. His confidence had returned, seeing the damage his fleet had inflicted. Your resistance is impressive but futile, he said. Surrender now, and I may spare your crew. Lisa stood tall, despite the chaos around her. Admiral, I recommend you prepare your fleet for a surprise. 20 seconds, John whispered. What trick is this? Zextran demanded. Your ship is failing. Your weapons are nearly depleted. Lisa smiled. 10 seconds ago, we discovered something interesting about Vormik ship design. Now, Olivia's voice came through the comm system. Lisa nodded to Daniel. Target their atmospheric processors. Fire. The modified communication array sent out a precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse. On the tactical display, they watched as it spread through the Vormik fleet. One by one, the enemy ship systems flickered and failed. Admiral Zexatran's eyes widened in shock as alarms sounded behind him on his own bridge. What have you done? We've disabled your life support and propulsion, Lisa explained calmly. Not destroyed, just disabled. Your ships have approximately 30 minutes of emergency oxygen, plenty of time for you to reconsider your position. Silence fell over the bridge of the USS Defiant as the crew watched the tactical display. The Vormik fleet hung motionless in space, their weapons powered down, their engines disabled. Captain Lisa Martinez stood with her hands clasped behind him, her back, her expression firm but not triumphant. Life support status of the Vormik vessels? She asked. Science Officer Olivia Bennett checked her readings. Emergency systems are functioning. They have approximately 28 minutes of backup. Life support remaining. Lisa nodded. Open a channel to Admiral Zextran's flagship. Communications Officer Kate Howard worked her console. Channel open, Captain. The main view screen flickered to life. Admiral Zextran stood on his bridge, surrounded by frantic crew members. Emergency lights flashed behind him and several officers were working with portable breathing equipment. Admiral, Lisa began, your fleet is disabled but not destroyed. Your life support systems will fail in less than 30 minutes. I suggest we discuss terms. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. You speak of terms after this treachery? After concealing weapons on a diplomatic vessel? Lisa stepped forward. Let me be clear, Admiral. This ship was registered under Galactic Concordat definitions of unarmed. Those definitions were written by species who don't understand what it means to evolve on a world like Earth. She gestured to the tactical display. We didn't arm our ship for battle. We armed it for survival. Something humans have had to do since our first steps on Earth. Our planet has gravity 1.6 times stronger than your homeworld. Our predators were faster and more deadly than anything in your evolutionary history. Our weather systems can destroy entire cities in minutes. The Admiral remained silent, listening. This isn't about weapons, Lisa continued. It's about understanding. You saw our ship was officially unarmed and assumed we were helpless. You never bothered to learn what humans are truly capable of. First Officer John Miller stepped forward. Captain, sensors detect movement from the Vormik fleet. Their backup maneuvering thrusters are activating. Lisa raised an eyebrow at the Admiral. Are you attempting something foolish, Admiral? Zex Tran straightened his posture. One of our medical ships is moving to assist the most damaged vessels. We have injured crew who need immediate attention. Lisa considered this for a moment. Security Chief Rogers, please escort the Admiral from the brig to the bridge. I think it's time we had a face-to-face conversation. A few minutes later, the doors to the bridge slid open. Alan Rogers entered with Admiral Zex Tran. The alien moved with difficulty in Earth's gravity, his tall frame slightly hunched. Your ship has suffered damage as well, the Admiral observed, looking around the bridge. Several stations were dark and repair crews worked on exposed circuitry. Yes, Lisa acknowledged. We've both seen what happens when misunderstanding leads to conflict. She gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Your physiology isn't adapted to our gravity. The Admiral hesitated, then sat. His pride was clearly wounded, but his practical nature won out. What happens now, Captain? He asked. You have disabled my fleet, but you cannot hope to defeat the entire Vormik Confederacy. Lisa smiled slightly. I don't want to defeat anyone. Admiral, I want to establish proper diplomatic relations, which was our original mission. She nodded to Kate. Show the Admiral our medical teams. The view screen changed to show the Defiance medical bay. Dr. Stephanie Green and her staff were treating injured Vormik crew members alongside human patients. We've transported the most severely injured members of your boarding parties to our medical bay, Lisa explained. Dr. Green is an expert in xenobiology. She's adapting our treatments to Vormik physiology. The Admiral watched in silence as a human nurse carefully adjusted the gravity in a small section of the medical bay, making it more comfortable for a Vormik patient. You could have destroyed us, Zex Tran said finally. We could have, Lisa agreed. But that's not who we are. Humans can be formidable enemies, but we prefer to be allies. The ship's intercom activated. Engineering to bridge, Chief Engineer Paul Fisher's voice came through. Captain, we've developed a way to temporarily restore the Vormik ship's life. Support systems remotely. With your permission, we'd like to implement it. Lisa looked at the Admiral. Permission granted, Paul. On the tactical display, they watched as the status indicators on the Vormik ships began changing from red to yellow. Why? The Admiral asked quietly. Because this is what humans do, Lisa replied. We fight when we must, but we help when we can. It's how we survived on our death world, not just through strength but through cooperation. Admiral Zex Tran was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Perhaps there is much the Vormik Confederacy could learn from Earth. In the hours that followed, the two sides worked together. Engineering teams from the Defiant helped restore basic functions to the Vormik vessels. Medical staff treated injured crew members from both sides. Security teams helped coordinate the safe return of boarding parties. 3 days later, the USS Defiant and the Vormik flagship orbited a neutral space station. In the main conference room, Captain Lisa Martinez and Admiral Zex Tran signed a new diplomatic agreement. The Galactic Concordat will be amended, the Admiral announced to the gathered representatives. A new classification will be created for vessels from high-gravity evolutionary worlds. These ships will have special recognition for their unique defensive requirements. Lisa nodded. And Earth will share its scientific and cultural knowledge with the Vormik Confederacy, beginning a new era of cooperation. As the ceremony concluded, Zex Tran approached Lisa privately. Your ship truly was unarmed by our standards, he admitted. But I've learned that humans themselves are the most formidable weapons Earth has produced, not because of your strength or technology, but because of your adaptability. Lisa smiled. That's the thing about evolving on a death world, Admiral. You either learn to adapt, or you don't survive. 2 weeks later, the USS Defiant returned to Earth orbit. As the ship docked at the space station, crowds gathered to welcome them home. The crew had become heroes overnight, having established humanity's place in the galactic community not through conquest, but through standing their ground. In her quarters, Lisa recorded her final log entry about the mission. They thought our ship was unarmed because they couldn't see our weapons. They thought we were weak because they couldn't see our strength. The Vormik learned that the most dangerous weapon humans possess isn't our technology, it's our adaptability. She paused, looking out her viewport at the blue-green planet below. Earth made us strong, but it also taught us compassion. And that's what saved both our species from a war neither of us needed. The Vormik now understand what it means to encounter Deathworlders, and we've gained valuable allies in a universe that's larger and more complex than we ever imagined. Lisa closed her log and smiled. The mission had started as a diplomatic overture, and ended as one, with just a small lesson in human capabilities along the way.